It happens at a high level at Alabama because there is no fan base more passionate than that at the University of Alabama. That is a major, major part of what makes Alabama great, what makes the Crimson Tide great. The passion, the care, the desire for Alabama to be great, and the appreciation for greatness at Alabama. It can also be something that's very difficult to deal with when there's a lack of understanding of the real circumstances that are taking place. So there are those that love to get on message boards, and when they're waiting on when truth be told, they're really on there looking to see the latest football recruiting news. But while they're waiting on that, they'll comment on some things that they really don't have a lot of knowledge about, but like they like to think they do. I heard a high school baseball coach say one time, there are three things that every man thinks he can do better than another man. Cook a steak, make love to a woman, and coach baseball. So there are a lot of people. I have no earthly idea about your personal lives. Your steak probably don't taste a whole lot better than mine. But I know Mitch Gaspard knows a heck of a lot more about baseball than 99.99% of those that love to send out commentary on the internet or on talk radio over the last few years. Doesn't mean you're not entitled to your opinion. It just means the odds are pretty good you were wrong. Mitch Gaspard stepped aside because he thought it was best for him, and he thought it was best for the program that he has poured a ton of his life into. I'm not going to say all of his life into it, because this is a guy who cares so much about his family as well that it would be inaccurate and unfair to say that he poured everything into baseball. But I can tell you this, he poured more into it than anybody else for a long time. Just as Jim Wells did during his tenure, nobody wanted to see Alabama succeed at the highest level more than Mitch Gaspard did. But part of the reason yesterday was so tough is not because I know how hard Mitch Gaspard has worked at this, not because I've developed so much of a personal and professional respect for Mitch. But the part that so many people either don't think about or don't care about, and if you don't care, that's your fault. That's not anybody else's. It's not just Mitch Gaspard and his family that are bringing a close to this, okay, this chapter. The reality is, the likelihood is that Mitch Gaspard, who was in the dugout with Jim Wells for all three of those trips to Omaha, also by resigning means that it's very strong possibility that Dax Norris, who was a great player at Alabama, who helped build Alabama baseball as a player with Coach Gaspard, or with Coach Wells, with Coach Butler, on the front end of all of this 20 years ago, 20 plus years ago, when this particular run started, this era started. Dax Norris, who has done a tremendous job representing the school, coaching players, developing players, loves Alabama with all of his heart and soul, wore the uniform. It's ending for him. Andy Phillips, whose name is still all over the record books at the University of Alabama, is as good a representative student athlete that the university has ever produced. Played in all three of those World Series in which Alabama appeared over a 5-year stretch. He was there. And when he left, he was one of the top hitters, all-time hits leader in Alabama baseball history. Still the top home run guy. Second on the list in hits now after Taylor Dugas broke his record about 4 years ago. Took a lot of shots about Alabama's struggles offensively. Fair? Okay. People are entitled to their opinion. But also the guy who's a primary recruiter in bringing in the talent that everybody's so excited about. And again, didn't have to go into coaching. Didn't have to do it at Alabama. Loves Alabama. Cares about Alabama. Is Alabama. Okay? I can go down the list of people that this decision yesterday impacted. People who have poured more than any of us into Alabama baseball, into the University of Alabama, wanted to see it succeed at the highest level and did everything humanly possible they could for it to succeed at the highest level possible. There is a disappointment that they weren't able to get Alabama there. There's a disappointment that for most of them, that direct day-to-day association, dream opportunity for most of them, has come to an end. So yesterday was tough. Thankful we didn't have a show. Thankful that I already had plans on a holiday. Thankful that I got to spend time with family because it impacts me. Because these are people that have become friends, close friends. They're not just names. They're not just people to talk about when you're on a message board. They're not just people to talk about on Twitter or names to talk about. They're not that guy. They're not this guy. They're people. They got families. I know what the critics are going to say. Well, they're compensated well. You know what? Okay. That's the terms in which you think of it. Because I guarantee you these guys weren't where they were for the money. Because these guys could have done what they do other places and may have had a chance and probably will have a chance to make money again and maybe even more money. These are all guys that have been successful, that are going to be successful wherever they go, whatever they do. It was about the place. And nobody cared about the place. And nobody put more into the place than they have. So it's tough. It's really tough. But you move on. And now the attention turns to who's next. Where does it go from here? What transpires now for Alabama baseball? Part of that is what Mitch Gaspard talked about when he wrote the letter saying goodbye. It is in good hands. It is in good shape. Nobody's inheriting this program off probation. There are major scholarship issues that are well documented, that may not be that easy for a lot of people to understand. And again, for some reason, others don't seem to care. But they're real, and they play a major, major role in the future success of the program. Obviously, a major need has been addressed. Alabama has gone from having the next to last facility in terms of ranking in the SEC. Second worst is the more accurate way of putting it. 13th out of 14 in our baseball facility. Only Kentucky was worse. And that has changed. And now it is there with the best in all of college baseball. It fits Alabama's need perfectly. The athletic department did a fantastic job in building Sewell Thomas Stadium, building the player amenities, building the indoor hitting and pitching facility exactly at a level that is needed to help the program be better. Mitch Gaspard played a big role in the planning and the development of that, in setting what will be in place for the next coach, the next staff, for the next several years. It is a much, much better situation than the one he took over 7 years ago, which is in no way a shot at Jim Wells, because these are things that Jim Wells had been talking about the need for a even longer period of time. So the future's in a good spot. The future's in a very good spot. The foundation is there for the next coach, the next staff, to take what's there and build on it, because it's not far away. There will be new energy that comes with a new coach. There's excitement that comes with that. That's a good thing. But you'll have to forgive me if today especially is one where I sound less than enthusiastic. Because people that I've worked with for the bulk of the last 17 years are going through major life changes today, starting yesterday, and it impacts me as well. These are my friends. These are people that professionally gave me any and everything I needed in order to do my job as well as I can. Could not have asked for anything more. Wonderful people to be around. Season can be long. When you get to the time of the year that I'm actually able to devote myself full time to baseball, meaning basketball has wrapped up, I'm already in my third season with no real break in between. And when I say break, look, I get to do phenomenal stuff. My point is, it's constant. When football ends, I'm already halfway into basketball season. When basketball season ends, I'm already halfway into baseball. And it rolls one right into the other. So when you get to that last season, as I do, if you don't enjoy the people you're around, it can be a grind. It can be tough. And thankfully, because of the way Mitch Gaspard, his staff, treated me and worked with me, I hate seeing the college baseball season end, because I enjoy them, their players, their families that much. You don't, in my case, I never wanted it to end, because these are people that I thoroughly enjoyed covering and thoroughly enjoyed being around. Not everybody in my profession is that fortunate. There are a lot of them that I know that are so thankful that the year's over. We're all thankful to be able to have that little break and that time to spend more time with our families. But not once have I ever wanted to see a season come to a close because I didn't enjoy going to my office every day. And in this case, my office was Sewell Thomas or wherever the baseball team happened to be. Wonderful people who heavily invested themselves in the Alabama baseball program.